Hello. Uh, Question one: why did I choose this job? I chose human resources as a whole because I I believe it's a truly integral part of any company. I mean, it works with almost every, if not every, functional group within a company, and it's where people go to air their grievances or work through disputes that they have with other employees or their superiors or whatnot. And so it basically hides two of the main things I was looking for in a job, which was both interacting with a lot of people and helping people. That alongside with while I was studying business administration and I was learning about the concepts and practices of human resources, and I was surprised by how much more complex it was, and I found myself very interested in it and just drawn towards this field of this profession, I guess. Why I chose a specific job is because I believe it's a great starting point for me for my career, and that it can give me both the experience I need as well as the challenge I'm looking for in a fulfilling job. And I truly believe that it's what I am looking for. What I believe makes me qualified for it is both my education, my diploma in human resources from NATE, as well as my 9 years of experience working alongside both other working with both a lot of different coworkers as well as with customers. On top of that, I believe one of the main things that makes me qualified is my passion for the justice profession in general and the dedication I'm gonna show towards my job and the hard work I'll put into it. Question two: what's my accomplishment? When I was working at Apple Express, my manager got called away for a family emergency. I don't know what the emergency was, but it was important enough that she had to leave immediately. On her way out, she just told me to make sure everything was handled while she was gone, and she just rushed out. The problem with that was that it was on a Friday right before a long weekend. So not only did we have the normal things we'd have to accomplish, but there was also some extra work that was there for us to do, so the company wouldn't be too behind come Tuesday. So basically, what I ended up doing was I ended up coordinating, working with everybody else, and reassigning some duties to different employees, so that uh, so we could free people up earlier, so that we could actually get started on the extra work, so we wouldn't have to go to overtime. And it was a pretty hectic and busy day given all that. But but working with everybody else, I was able to accomplish this, and by the end of it, we were able to. I was able to ensure everyone else accomplished their tasks that they needed to get done that day. Was able to finish my work, which I still had to do, obviously, and I was able to get the extra work done without really going to overtime. We only finished like 3 minutes after we normally would have, so that was great. And I was very proud that I was able to do all that without any proper planning and just going as is. Three, have I ever had a conflict? Conflict. Yes, when I worked at ALS, there was just one coworker I could just not get along with. Um, Anytime like we would uh, talk or work together, it would always cause problems with us. And I remember once when our manager put us together to finish some work for the day, we ended up getting into a really big verbal fight. We were screaming at each other and everything, and that was it was probably the worst I've ever had a confrontation with someone at work. And a couple days later, the same manager, decided to put us again in the hopes that we'd both cool down and we'd be able to work through our issues this time and just get along. And it did not happen. We just got into another even bigger fight, and yeah, it was basically the same thing as before, just worse. Later that day, I remember that I was very disappointed and upset with myself, not because of what I'd said. I didn't regret that. It was just how I was acting. I mean, I was at work and it's a professional setting, right? And I felt horrible for acting like that while I was there. So I went up to him the next day and I spoke to him. I basically said that we don't get along, but we're both mature enough to understand that this is work, this is a professional place, and oh, excuse me, and we should not be arguing with each other. Not like that. We're not brats. We're mature enough to understand this is not the time and place for that. So let's just try to stay out of each other's way normally. And if we do have to work together, then it's just let's just talk about the work and only what we need to, and just get everything done, and just leave each other alone for basically the rest of it. He agreed and said that he had basically been thinking the same thing himself. So that's what we agreed. That's what we decided to do. A couple weeks later, after that, another manager put us together to get some work done, and we were actually able to get through it without any issues this time. So the conversation we had worked, and from basically that point to the end of my employment at ALS, there was no issues with him or really any other employee. My question four, my greatest weakness. I'd say my greatest weakness would be that I'm a bit of a perfectionist, because, like, for example, when it comes to my assignments, with regardless of my class, it could be communications, it could be project management, anything. When I finish something, I don't feel like I'm done. Like, I could do more. I could add something else. Or I could improve something. Even if I have no idea what I could actually add in, just that I'm not satisfied with my work, and I keep going over and over and over and over and over and over again. And just I could just, even if I'm finished and this is the final copy I'm going to hand in, I could just still not feel satisfied with it. And this feeling persists inside me until at least I hand it into my teacher and it's then out of my hands and not an issue anymore. Regardless of the assignment, regardless of the class, like we had to do case studies for project management, and even though I'm answering the questions and I'm still not satisfied with those answers because I feel like I could do more, even though my answers are much longer than what I need to do usually. What's my greatest strength? I'd say my greatest strength is my ability to focus. Like, I'm doing my online class. I'm doing my classes, sorry, my diploma online. So that means that when I usually do my work, I'm at home, and at home there's a lot of different distractions. So, but despite all these, when I sit down and decide I'm going to work on like my communications assignment, and then I'm going to read through a chapter in project management, work on a case study, and then work on the big a project we have afterwards. Then afterwards, I'll work on my negotiation project for labor relations. That's what I will do. I will not let myself get distracted. Like, I'll sit down like 7 o'clock, and then till for the next several hours, I won't allow myself to get distracted. I'll be focused directly on whatever school assignment working on, despite the fact that I'm at home and all the distractions that there are. And that's just also part of my general attitude towards work as a whole, is that when I'm at work, I'm focused on work. That's my first priority, because that's what I'm there for. So I'm very good at focusing on what I need to do and what needs to be done, and basically, I guess, prioritizing between when I need to be professional and serious about and focus on my job or assignments or work or school, what have you, and when I cannot. And I can actually differentiate very well with that and focus on the specific tasks that need to be done. Question 5. How do I handle stressful situations? I usually handle stressful situations by seeing what needs to be done overall, like what's the big picture, and seeing what I can do first, like what I can get done right away, and then while I'm doing the beginning tasks, whatever they may be, I work on. I come up with ideas that to figure out the rest of the work. Like, for example, when I worked at Toys R Us, during this Christmas season, we got very busy, and to handle that, we'd usually hire seasonal workers, temporary employees, basically. But the problem was that they usually didn't get the sufficient training, not sufficient training, sufficient experience, because they weren't really there for long enough to get used to the store and everything that need to be done. So the usual result was that we'd be working a shift, and there'd be 8 people assigned to our job of customer associates. The problem was that only 3 of us would usually know how to do everything and how what needed to be done, and 5 who would not. So what I usually did here was I talked to the 5 of them, the new employees, and I figured what they could do, like what they did, what part of the job they didn't know, whether it be assembling bikes, whether it be helping customers, whether it be stocking certain things, regardless of what it was. And after I got that, I told them to basically focus on that, make that your main attention and priority, and focus on that. Afterwards, I talked to the other senior employees, or not senior, sorry, more experienced, I'd say, employees, and like myself, and would divide up what's the remaining tasks that were left over between ourselves, and then just handle that as is. And as while doing this, I would also see if I would also think of like, okay, we're doing good right here, so I'd maybe call one of the new employees to call them and try to help them get some more experience in this, so they'd be prepared for next time, and they'll be have more experience and be able to handle the shifts better from now on. As a whole, this method worked pretty well too, as well, because we were able to usually finish our shifts without any real problems, and like without doing a lot of work to anybody else. So yeah, it was a pretty well it was a pretty good idea as a whole, and that's usually how I just handle stressful situations overall as well. My questions I'd have for the office team are, my first question is, how would you describe the culture at Office Team, the atmosphere of it, I suppose? And my second question would be, what exactly is the career path for someone in the human resources department within Office Team? What could I expect going forward or the opportunities I could expect going forward into this job? And yeah, that's been my interview questions. Thank you so much for this. Please go see my online profile on linkedin.com. My name is Zainal Hussain, Zainalhussain. Thank you so very much. Goodbye.